We're on to her slideshow now.
You guys want me to just share a little bit about myself, how long I've been doing this? This is me. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jenny Donnelly. I am a title representative with SoCal Title Company. I've been on the sales side since 2012, and then I started in title on the foreclosure side in about '06. I thought everybody was losing their houses, literally. And honestly, I love what I do. It doesn't feel like a job at all. Definitely a business, but I've built so many really good real estate partners, lender partners, appraisers, probate attorneys, 1031 exchange accommodators, just in my years of experience that I'm able to call, ask questions to, which is really nice. So follow me on Instagram if you guys aren't. I try to do videos and things like that of things that are coming up on title, issues and situations that I have. And obviously I'm gonna talk about some of the stuff tonight that's happened on my transactions. So.
Okay, so anyone who has heard me speak over the past 6 months or the past year know that I've been talking about the dangers of what we as lenders can do as investors, what dangers there are for both the borrowers as well as the lenders themselves. And so here's your opportunity to go ahead and ask why title insurance is needed, why we should be doing different things instead of possibly doing things the way you see or hear other people doing it. What is the right way to go ahead and do things?
Okay.
So, back to Evan's question. Here we go. We're good. We'll cover that.
So of course my phone decides to be glitchy. Okay, what is title insurance and why do you need it? And if you could go to the next slide or whoever's. Basically, sorry, my PowerPoint's a little glitchy. It's basically a guarantee that your property is free and clear from any liens aside from the ones that you agreed upon when you purchase. Feel comfortable knowing the seller owns the property and has the right to sell you the property. Okay, and I'm gonna get into what you need to order before you sit in front of a seller or if you're a listing agent. Okay, so, and forgive me if I say on a listing presentations because I'm in front of realtors all day long, so I'm used to talking to realtors, but the same rule applies. If you're sitting in front of a seller, you need to know you're talking to the right person, and what open deeds of trust are on it, what your comps are, all that good stuff.
You want to switch chairs?
Oh yeah, would you mind? Thank you.
It is going.
This is good. This is actually perfect.
What did you put at the bottom of your slides?
I don't know. What do you mean?
We have to reprogram. This fancy technology has to be reprogrammed a little.
And then just simple thing, why do you need title insurance? Your home is most likely to be the most expensive purchase you'll make. You want to make sure that no one has any legal rights, claims, liens, encumbrances on your property is the short answer of why you want to get title insurance.
Okay, good time for people to start asking questions. Yes.
All right. Yell loud, Ray.
We're in escrow on selling a multifamily property, and somehow from 2 owners ago, we just got told that there was a lien or whatever it is for a bunch of washing machines. And we're like, from 2 sales ago? It's ridiculous. I was just curious on product because it's gone through title before when you bought it and it was clean. How did this happen?
Washing machines?
Yeah, basically,
Like, is it
these vampire washing machine companies, they do these contracts which never end, and you can only end it on the 6th day of the 6th month on the 6th hour, whatever, and they're impossible to get out of.
Honestly, I've actually never heard of that before. And I've heard a lot of things. I've never heard of that before. Is it like a UCC lien?
I don't remember what it was. They just said they had a contract for these washing machines, and they were asking us, hey, what's the status on it? We're like,
Is it against the name or is it against the address? So with
it's
title,
against the address. That was where it's found.
Okay.
It's just we're looking at like, this is from like 20 years ago. We only bought the property 8 years ago. And how did it go through title?
I would actually check with the previous title company that insured it 8 years ago, because you would have had to take it subject to that lien.
Oh,
and
we just signed something saying it was no longer relevant, and I got out of it, supposedly.
Say that again?
We had to just sign some type of paperwork saying this is no longer in effect.
They weren't pursuing to get it from you. It was just still in the title.
It came up during the title, during our escrow,
Right.
and that was kind of shocked us.
Did they reach out to them?
No.
If it was me, I would go back to the previous title company. But if you sign something saying you know that this is there, then it's also kind of your
Well-
responsibility. So it's not like something you didn't know about. I'd really have to see it, because that's an odd one.
Yeah, it was really odd because it's basically figured from 2 previous owners before us.
Yeah.
Because when we went and purchased the property, title was clean.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem like something that would run with the property, you know. So personally, I'd actually have to look at that. I've never heard of a washing machine lien or anything like that. But I will say this, if you sign something, that's you saying like you know that you're inheriting something with this. If the title company made you sign something.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. If you were like, I didn't know about it, it never came up on the prelim, then you have a claim, possibly, if there's monies due, to go back to that title company that insured it. But since you signed something, you kind of took responsibility of it.
Well, not if he signed something that said this isn't relevant.
Yeah, but you still acknowledge it, and who's to say if monies were owed if no one reached out to that lien holder?
I'll give you that clicker.
So now it's popping up on a new prelim, like when you run the title report? Most title companies are going to say, or escrow companies, because escrow is the one that's actually ordering the demands, is to get a 0 demand and a release, if possible. That way it doesn't keep coming up on title. That way it's recorded and it doesn't keep popping up. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, good question.
Yeah.
Esoteric, but a good question.
Okay, so this is your seller, right?
He's way too young to be one of my sellers.
Right. Before you buy it, we're gonna check the vesting. And I know that sounds silly, but you guys, before you're sitting in front of a seller, you need to order a property profile. There's been so many times when I'm sitting in front of real estate professionals who have access to the MLS and they're like, Realist said this, and Realist is wrong, or it's giving only part of the truth. It's not giving the whole truth, right? You wanna get a full property profile from someone like me. My customer service team will email it really quick, as long as it's business hours. Frank, I just saw you there. You're coming. So that's the biggest thing. Make sure you're sitting in front of the right person. You're talking to the right person, right?
Let's throw a little jargon flag. What is a property profile and what does it consist of?
So property profile is what you're going to order before you buy the house or open escrow or take a listing, okay? What property profile is going to show you is the actual vesting deeds, so the full value grant deed, which is going to show transfer tax, that's when you buy the house like full, and then any quit claim deeds, right? So you make sure you're talking to the right person in order of succession. Sometimes I've seen some chain of titles that are like 7 quit claim deeds, it's crazy. But you want to get a full
Only
profile.
7?
Okay. so-
Yeah, you'd be surprised how many people are adding and removing people from title. I highly don't recommend it, but people do it, okay? Open mortgages, you wanna see what open deeds of trust. In California, we call it a deed of trust, it's a mortgage, okay? Liens, obviously judgments, easements, restrictions, like I'm going back to that. But what the property profile is gonna give you, your vesting, your open loans, your tax page, 15 most recent closed comparables, so proof is in the pudding. This is how much homes are selling for in that area. It usually goes 1 year and 1 mile around typically, and you can always hone that in. Or if it's a property that has an ADU, sometimes we have to go out further, right, to get those comps. So, and then a plat map and a tax page.
So, quick question. So, what's the difference between a property profile and preliminary title report?
So a preliminary property profile, my customer service department can literally send that to you in 5 minutes. Okay, it's something we pull on websites. It's very easy. A preliminary title report, there's about 5 hands that touch that before it gets typed and emailed to escrow or the listing agent. Okay, so there's searching, people pulling the documents from, title point, public record. Examiners are like, which ones apply, especially if it's kind of a hairy file, with a lot of stuff, especially back when we were coming past the foreclosure market, there was all sorts of liens and judgments on properties. And then the type, basically they have to type it, proofread it before it gets sent out. It's not an automated report. It costs the title company like money just on our end. Obviously, no one gets charged until it's, closed and recorded, but it's a very in-depth report. What it's gonna also search, one thing it's gonna search that your profile's not, is personal liens and judgments, right? So I have a common name. My name's Jennifer Donnelly. There is another Jennifer Donnelly that lives in Riverside County that came up on me when I was like refining or something like that, right? So I got to give my statement of information, be like, it's the wrong person. So it's much more in-depth of a search. It's going to show easements, all the utilities that have access, all that stuff, liens, judgments, personal liens and judgments, anything against that property. Even, old deeds of trust, if they haven't been reconveyed, it's going to pop up on that preliminary title report. So it's a much more in-depth search. And one thing I'll say, which I was going to get to later in the slide, but if it's a common name, if you guys know you're buying a house and it's Michael Johnson owns it or Juan Rodriguez, right? We're not even going to put all the liens and judgments against that name because it's too common unless it names that address, right? Because there's so many judgments against common names. So that's why we say give us a statement of information so it doesn't pop at the last minute that this is a direct hit against that person, which attaches to real property. Okay? Did I answer that enough?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, we're gonna look at liens, judgments, easements, restrictions. Okay, so I'm just gonna kind of go through some questions, jump in as I'm doing this. Okay, so I'm gonna go through it one by one. Common items that come up on prelims. One thing that comes up all the time is uninsured deed affidavits. That's when it says Jennifer Donnelly, a married woman, sole and separate property, subject to item number 15. That means I did a quitclaim deed outside of title insurance. And why do we ask for that? Because after the crash, all sorts of people were putting in claims with the title company saying, here's an example. Husband and wife, they're married, right? They marry in 2005. They divorced in 2009. The house is underwater, right? She quit claims to her husband. Now it's 2026, and he's gonna go sell that house, and so, let's just say it's in Moreno Valley, and now he has $300,000 in equity, more than when she divorced him, and she's like, oh, heck no. Like, I paid that mortgage for 10 years. He owes me blah, 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 blah. That's what happens, and that's why title companies now, all of them, ask for the uninsured deed affidavits, where you would think, hey, it's a recorded grant deed, it's a recorded quitclaim deed, like it's public record, why does that not matter? That's why, because we got so many claims of people being like, I didn't know what I was signing, I signed that under duress. So, yeah, so that's a reason why we ask for uninsured deed affidavits. Probably the most common thing that you'll see. City liens, those are usually smaller, trash liens, stuff like that. Franchise tax board, IRS liens. Franchise tax board, they're gonna re-record it every year. IRS liens and child support liens are never out by time. And what I mean by out by time is after 10 years, title companies, we don't even include personal liens and judgments. Let's say I don't pay my Mercedes bill, right? They file a judgment against me or creditor or whatever. If they didn't re-record it after 10 years, we're not gonna show it on the prelim. But child support liens, that kid could be 30. And they're still gonna pay the child support to who's due. It does not matter how old it is, okay? Same with IRS liens, they want their money, okay? Statement of information not being turned in on time, like I said, especially with common names. List pendants, I wouldn't say it's common to come up on title, but I would say it's the worst thing that can come up on title. You cannot, title, we are not going to insure it unless Andy says, I'm buying that house subject to that list pendants. I had an investor buy a property out in LA, and it had a list pendants from like the city, so many city liens, and they just didn't do anything, so they filed a court action, and the buyer took it subject to that because they knew they were gonna remedy the situation. But typically, nobody wants a list pendants when they buy a house, right? Yep. Yeah, so list pendants is a court action. It means somebody they feel they have a right to that house for some reason or another. Like, let's say like a mechanic's lien, right? So you guys don't pay your contractors. I'm sure everybody pays their contractors here. But somebody doesn't pay their roofer, right? He files a mechanic's lien. He has to follow it up with a notice of pendency, a lis pendens, if they still don't do anything after 6 months. Otherwise, we don't include it on the prelim if it's a year later. But they're gonna follow it up with a court action. It means, do not sell this house. I have a right, and something's going through the courts, and until you get a release of pendency from an attorney, like, we're not gonna close on it. So we're gonna wanna pay off demand and a release of pendency, or pay the monies and then they record the release. through escrow, basically. No. No, that's not what I'm saying. Yeah, the way to transfer titles, quit claim deeds, grant deeds, that is the way to transfer title. What I was saying is what comes up commonly on title is uninsured deed affidavits, or requiring that. And the way you'll see it on title is, like I said, Rich Rice, I know yours is in your LLC, let's just say it's your name, subject to item 12. Or maybe he deeds out of his LLC into his personal name or whatever. They're just saying, hey, did the person from this LLC, did you mean to give to Rich Rice? Is that the same, you know what I mean? It's just, we're verifying that that person gave that house away or quit claim their interest. They knew what they were doing. It was not under duress. No one manipulated them, and they were, yeah, that was more what I was saying. But the way to transfer title is a grant deed or a quit claim deed or a court order. That's why no, honestly, I would love to say that I can be like, yes. I actually got a call today. A lot of people ask me to drop quit claim deeds and things like that. So my client's friend or whatever they are, calls me today. I don't know them at all. And they're like, what? Are you? Yeah, go ahead. Oh, I didn't know. It was a sister on title. She's struggling with substance abuse, and he's like, we want to add me and 4 other siblings. And I'm like, okay, no problem. I can totally help you draw a grant deed or quit claim deed. But I go, you need to have a conversation with her, because everything you're telling me is kind of a red flag. Like, she's struggling with alcohol. You have to be of sound mind when you're signing something, right? There's capacity, just things like that. And the reason that we ask for the uninsured deed affidavits is so that person, it's like a double verification. It sucks. And people, the person's always in Mexico. They can't find them, it can be tricky sometimes, but every title company is protecting their back.
Uninsured. Uninsured.
Exactly, and that's why we're asking for it. Yep. Well, honestly, title companies, when you're doing a quit claim deed, we're not going to insure it anyway, unless it's a transaction. Title, we're not really involved unless there's a refi or a resale. They don't usually, we don't just be like, oh yeah, well, they just don't do that. Plus, I'm assuming liability purposes, but when title and escrow is involved, it's a resale or a refi transaction.
And let me add one thing, and you can clarify. A grant deed, I'm transferring property at my interest to her or to the buyer. Quit claim deed is transferring any interest you may or may not even have, right?
Yeah.
It says it right on there. May or may not have. Sometimes a title company wants it from someone that wasn't even part of the transaction, but you happen to be married to the person at the time, and they want it to clarify when you refi or buy, right? Right. Yeah, because I've had to do that in the past.
Right. And another thing, I know this is kind of a caveat of what we're talking about right now, but it does come up. What I told the gentleman I was speaking to today, because he was like, I want to add my 4 siblings to title. And I'm like, you may want to either create a trust, or I'm like, because any liens or judgments against all y'all's name, it's going to attach to the house. So if any of them have any liens of any type,